Maegor Targaryen had issues. This video, I want to talk about 5 of the worst things everyone's favorite psychopath did. And mind you, these are 5 worst things to me. I'm sure your list is different. And if you don't know who Maegor is, he was the son of Aegon the Conqueror and his sister wife, Visenya. His first kill was a cat he butchered at 3 years old, and he also stabbed to death the horse that kicked him as a child. Not really sure if you need more details than that. Oh, yeah, he took the throne from his nephews, killing some of them in the process, and had a lot of wives. So here are 5 of the most messed up things Maegor Targaryen ever did, besides killing a cat when he was 3 years old and executing a horse for kicking him. And besides the fact that Maester said during his reign, blood and fire always hung heavy in the air. Alright, let's start with number 5, Wat. Maegor just didn't get along with the Faith Militant, and you can argue they had it coming to them through their actions. However, in the case of Wat the Hewer, I think Maegor may have gone a bit too far. Wat was the leader of 9,000 poor fellows that fought against the rule of the Targaryens because of incest, abominations, and whatever religion says about letting your freak flag fly. But eventually the poor fellows were defeated, and Wat was brought to King's Landing in chains. The man was defiant despite being in front of a monster. Maegor, true to his reputation, took the man's own axe and chopped off his arms and legs. Yeah, he just left him a head and a fucking torso. Maegor wasn't done though. He commanded the maesters to keep him alive so he might attend my wedding. I can't think of a worse punishment than having to sit through someone's boring-ass wedding. And sure enough, he actually did live, limbless, to attend the wedding of Maegor to his 3rd wife. Which is just so fucked. And this is lowest on the list because, honestly, you poke a bear. Number 4, wedding bliss. Maegor took a lot of wives. When he took his 2nd wife, he got exiled, but after he took the Iron Throne from his nephews, he went back on a marriage spree. When Grand Maester Myrrhus told him, dude, your first wife is your wife, she awaits you, get your shit together, go back to her, Maegor said nothing. But he calmly descended the throne and killed the Grand Maester where he stood with black fire. But sadly, even after that, people didn't quite learn to not refuse Maegor. He had to kill 12 Septons until he could find one to marry him to his 3rd wife. And, this is so romantic, Maegor married her in the bones and ashes of 700 people he had murdered with his dragon while they were in morning prayer. I wish a man loved me enough to marry me in the bone and ashes of our enemies. Now what's cool about this, he'd have sexy 3-ways with his wives. That's just hot. Later, he would start to really like marrying widows. Sometimes he would execute the husband and then marry her. But just in case you feel like that's a bit scummy, he did, in the case of one woman, give her 7 days to grieve her dead husband before marrying her. There's also the rumor he had his wife's tongue cut out when she said something he didn't like, but she struggled during the process and accidentally got her throat slit. But of course, this isn't proven. But hey, let's talk about number 3. Baby crazy. Maegor really wanted a baby, and no lady was giving him what he wanted. Well, they would give him monstrosities that quickly died. But the grief of losing a child just wasn't enough for him. Someone had to pay. So in one example, when his wife Queen Alice had a stillbirth, delivering a son with twisted limbs, no eyes, and a huge head, Maegor was sure it wasn't his. No way would he have an ugly baby. Look at that guy. But as I said, someone had to pay for it. So he ordered the execution of the midwife, the Septas taking care of Queen Alice, and even the Grand Maester Desmond. After those executions, Maegor went to sit on his Iron Throne, holding the head of the Grand Maester in his hands. Shortly after, his other queen, Tiana of the Tower, shared that Alice had cheated on him and slept with a ton of dudes, with her father's help, of course, so she could get pregnant. At first, Maegor was like, hey, "You're a jelly bitch," and threw a maester's head at her. Yeah, he did that. But as soon as she supplied him with names, he went on a torture spree. He killed the 20 names on her list, plus another dozen named by those 20 men. Maegor also, with his Kingsguard, burst into the chambers of his wife, who had just given birth to a dead baby and was grieving, and dragged her out of bed. He then had her watch her sisters being killed before her very eyes. Her father was flung from the roof of the Tower of the Hand to smash on the stones, and her father's sons, brothers, and nephews were thrown onto spikes that lined the dry moat around Maegor's holdfast. Some died quickly, some in hours, and one took days to die. Good times. However, Maegor wasn't done. His traumatized wife just still needed to pay. It wasn't enough. He gave her over to Tiana, who took a fortnight to kill the woman. And Maegor was present for all of it to watch her in agony, and after she finally died, he had her body cut into 7 parts, and each piece mounted on spikes above the 7 gates of the city until they rotted. Oh boy, Maegor did not stop there. He hunted down her family in multiple locations. Any man, woman, or child with a drop of Haraway blood in them, he killed. He made their house extinct. Yeah, Tiana probably lied, but if it makes you feel any better, she did get what was coming to her in the end. She finally would admit she had poisoned his wives so that they would all have stillbirths, and Maegor took this really well. He took his sword Blackfire, cut out her heart, and fed it to his dogs. Okay, number 2. Surprise. I was really conflicted, and I wanted to put this at number 1, and I kind of regret not doing it. So Maegor continued the construction of the Red Keep that had begun in 35 AC, and he was all in on building this. He put his father-in-law and handed the king in charge of the realm while he oversaw the construction. He had many hidden tunnels and secret passageways built within the castle, along with 4 levels of dungeons. The 4th level was his special erection level. He made it specifically for torment. You know his semen's all over that level. Finally, 10 years after the beginning of its construction, the Red Keep was finished. Maegor, being the kind man we know him to be, threw a huge feast for the workers for 3 whole days. He brought in the best whores from the finest brothels, sweetmeats, wines. People, they just went crazy. They just had the greatest time ever. And then he executed them. Finally, number 1, throne stealing. I only put this one on top because it had a lot of terrible things that resulted from it. When his brother Aenys died, the throne should have gone to his brother's children, but Maegor gave 0 fucks and decided the throne was his. When the current Grand Maester protested against Maegor taking the crown, saying, "Hey, crazy asshole," maybe not exact words, "there's laws of inheritance and your nephews go before you," Maegor just beheaded him right then and there with his sword Blackfire. I mean, he did it in one swing, which is pretty badass. More badass than other people executing some people. Maegor really liked killing maesters. I don't know if you figured that out by now. Maegor also took hostages of his own family to solidify his power, including holding his dead brother's wife hostage, killing his nephew when he wanted his rightful throne, and having his next eldest nephew tortured to death by his batshit crazy wife for 9 days before leaving his mutilated body in the courtyard for a fortnight. He had his 15-year-old nephew mutilated and his corpse left out in the courtyard to rot because his mom GTFO'd the first chance she got. That's dark. Besides the massive kinslaying, so many people would also be put to death by his orders. Even people that were simply religious. Though he claimed the 2,000 skulls he dumped beneath the Iron Throne were poor fellows and warrior sons, many believe they were simply innocent small folk. And there's actually so many more fucked up things that Maegor did, but which on this list was your favorite? Let me know in the comment section down below. And hey, make sure you like, subscribe, and come back for more great videos like this. Oh boy, Maegor did not stop there. He hunted down her entire family in multiple locations. Locations. Down her family in multiple locations.